Hello students, good afternoon. This is Dr. Michael. Today I am going to teach you cell, the unit of life. This concept and this chapter consists of so many subtopics in the cell. So this is very important chapter which contain more weightage in biology NEET UG. So this chapter contains cell theory, prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, cell membrane, cell wall, endomembrane system, mitochondria, plastids, ribosomes and cytoskeleton, cilia, flagella, centrosome, nucleus and chromosomes. These are the main topics we are going to cover, and there are so many topics like this, very important. uh, the examiner will ask you questions like how they are being giving like that in exam, so we can go through sir. So that the will first of all we'll talk about cell discovery and cell theory by Robert Brown, Skleden, Swan and Joe, and in very simplified explanations and key concepts. So, first of all, we all want to know that definitely the main one point is that cell is the smallest living unit. Okay, Robert Hooke first saw dead crop cells. So, what is meant by crop cells? Crop cells is an outer layer of the trees, dark trees with the trunks, no? They call the crop cells. Dead crop cells are non-living. They are called non-living. First time in the history, Leeuwenhoek saw the living cell. Okay, Leeuwenhoek saw the living cell, and Robert Brown found the nucleus. Robert Brown, who found the nucleus, Cleiden, plants and spawn animals, said all living things are made up of cells. Okay, this is the cell theory. Cell theory is nothing like but uh, first point is main point is that cell is the smallest living unit. Robert Brown Hooke. Okay, Robert Brown and Robert Hooke are the main scientists who saw the one of the functional units of cell. One is that Robert Hooke saw a dead crop cells. Leeuwenhoek saw a living cell. Robert Brown nucleus and Skleden and Swan said living things are made up of cells. So this is the cell theory. So the cell theory is given by Skleden and Swan. Okay, but it didn't explain where the new cells are come from. So they are just discovered the cells, but they don't know how cells are made up of or cells are come from. And later that Virchow fixed the gap by saying cells are come only from pre-existing cells by division. Omnicellula e-cellula. So that Virchow fixed giving that he was the main person to say new cells come only from pre-existing cells by division. It's called omnicellula e-cellula. Omnicellula e-cellula. Okay, let's turn by turn background. What is mean by unicellular organism? Unicellular organism is an organism made up of only one cell that can live independently and do all life functions by itself. When a cell which lives independently, okay, which lives independently and do their own functions by itself are known as unicellular organisms. Examples are amoeba, paramecium, and bacteria. So unicellular organism examinations are amoeba, paramecium, and bacteria. So second is that multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms made of many cells that divide labor among themselves. Different cells know different jobs, which can do different jobs. Now they can do different jobs. Okay, different cells, different jobs. Multicellular organisms. Okay, like human beings are multicellular organisms. So there is coming from cell theory plural form. All living organisms are composed of cells and products of cells. All cells arise from pre-existing cells given by Virchow, omnicellular acellular. Virchow's Latin phrase meaning every cell from cell, new cells from only by division of existing cells, never from non-living material. So omnicellular acellular is an annihilation of or meaning like given by Virchow is that every cell from cell comes from new cell from only by division of existing cells. When only the division the cells forms, but never from non-living. But no divisions or no newly forming cells from non-living material. So the high yield point star rated. We are all our main motive is that giving the high yield points which are very example for very example form of NEET UG. Okay, so very easy learning, very conceptual learning, very high yield learning. Okay, so that the first point is that we already discussed about that the Robert Broom discovered the nucleus, not the cell. It is a main point. Robert Brown discovered the nucleus, but not cell. Robert Brown discovered the Robert Hooke, not Robert Brown. Robert Hooke discovered the cell in Cork in 1665. This swab is the single most repeated neat topic. Okay, it is a trap. It is a trap because Robert Brown who discovered nucleus but not the cell. Robert Hooke discovered the dead cell in Cork in 1665. Okay, this is the one of the main trap in the NEET exam. And another one is also as like that Scleden and Swan cell theory. Their proposed cell theory. Okay, Virchow explained the cell division origin of new cells, completing the theory. Okay, the one question is that may trap you that who explained and cell division and origin of new cells and completing the cell theory. Who completed the end portion of cell theory is one and only Virchow because he explained the cells coming from new cells but not from non-living organisms. Cell theory first proposed by Scleden and Swan. So the Scleden, it basically he is a zoologist, studied animal cells and named the plasma membrane. Though Swan is the first who named the plasma membrane, which is the animal cells. And he is also wrongly generalized. All cells, plant plus animal, have similar boundary and noted the cell wall is unique to plant cells, not in animals. And he also similar boundary between the cells and animals. of plant and animal cells. So he noted the cell wall is the unique plant cells, not in animals. So who noted the cell wall is unique to plant cells but not animal cells is Swan. He's a zoologist. Leeuwenhoek. Leeuwenhoek first saw and described the live cell with microscope different from Hooke's dead crop cell observation. So one of the main point is that Leeuwenhoek, who saw and described the live cell with microscope different from Hooke's dead cork cell observation. So the how the examiner thinks that he can make MCQs with some triggers. So in so many ways, NTA allows single line factual facts. Like Robert Brown discovered the cell is a classic false statement. Robert Brown discovered the cell is a classic false statement. Okay, statement based on assertion and trigger because Brown discovered the nucleus, not at all the cell. Okay, which is one of the traps given by the NTA. This is the one of the trap given by the NTA. Okay, in some distracting pattern is that mixing up WHO discovered what or who discovered what versus we saw that Hook versus Leeuwenhoek versus Brown versus Gladden versus Swan versus Virchow. So expect a match that the following or which is not correct question every year. Which is not correct question every year. Okay. The sequence triggering and chronological order of the discovery. Okay. Hook, Leeuwenhoek, Brown, Swan, Gladden, and Virchow can be tested as ordering who came first, like questions, and exception trigger. Cell theory said that arises from pre-existing cell. Examiner test this against the wrong idea of abiotic de novo origin of self, which is explicitly listed as an incorrect NCERT exercise option. Predicted original need style questions. Which scientist observed observation completed the cell theory by explaining the origin of new cells? Who? It is an Virchow. Virchow is the one of the and so many questions like match the following assertion and reasoning and statement about spawn or recording to the cell walls. Okay. So I will provide you this PDF so you can learn. So common student mistakes are students confuse who discovered the dead cell with Brown, who discovered the nucleus. Both discovered something but different structures. So the Robert Hooke discovered the dead cell. Robert Brown who discovered the nucleus. Want to remember. Students think Scleroden and Swan theory already explained well cell division. NCERT explicitly says it did not. That came later from Virchow, who is completed the cell theory. And students forgot Leeuwenhoek's contribution was specifically about the living cell, mixing up with Hooke. So these are the main traps or mistakes done by the students. Cross-chapter links. One of the cross-chapter links. This in this chapter, one of the cross-chapter links that the cell division mitosis connects directly to Virchow cells from pre-existing cells. History of science questions like also appear in the biomolecules and genetic chapters. Examples Watson, Crick and Wendell. Some examiner trick of swapping names. Which of the most important thing should know? And memory aid. HLBSSP. So first discovered Robert Hooke dead cell and second Leeuwenhoek living cell and Robert Brown nucleus. Clayton and Swan theory. They started discovering the cell theory. And the Witcher who explains and ended the cell theory by saying that new cells formed by division. Okay. Examiner psychology. What is actually being tested? The test or the test pure NCERT reading accuracy, the ability to the confuse names, a concept's clarity, plus or factual recall check, not deep reasoning. So in our this PDF, we actually focused on the main points, which are the traps, common mistakes done in exam by students, which all are also very deep thinking and questions like match the following, assertion raising a statement based questions. So by dividing this type of cross links, student mistakes, predicted original style of NEET making MCQs by examiners, MCQ triggers, highlight points will be very useful to will be very useful. Okay. So difficulty prediction is that and means some moderate, okay, some moderate, very easy, too easy. Okay. In that, Robert Brown versus Hook swap question will be the easy because Robert Brown, okay, Robert Brown who discovered the dead cell, okay, and Hook who discovered the nucleus. So, uh, Rob, who discovered? Yeah, yeah. Who discovered that cell and Brown who discovered nucleus. Okay. The assertion reasoning can also the one mode of moderate difficulty. Match the following of all scientists. So what is cell? Everything or every living thing is made up of cell. So the cell consists of cell wall, membrane, cytoplasm, and either or two nucleus or just naked DNA. So we can call that cells with a membrane-bound nucleus or eukaryotic. Without cell membrane or without membrane-bound nucleus is called prokaryotic. Cytoplasm is the jelly-like material inside where all the chemical reactions in the happening. So term by term breakdown. Eukaryotic. Eukaryotic. Eukaryotic has a simple explanation like has a true, okay, membrane bonded nucleus and Golgi apparatus organelles like mitochondria and Golgi apparatus, membrane bonded organelles. They are called membrane bonded organelles. Endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, and mitochondria. So, in prokaryotic cells, lacks a membrane bound nucleus. Genetic material like snake ring cytoplasms lacks membrane bonded organelles. So these are the main part of the eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. Cytoplasm, semi-fluid matrix occupying the cell volume present in both prokaryotic and eukaryotic where metabolic reactions occur. So cytoplasm is a semi-fluid. is a semi-fluid occurring in cell volume in both cytoplasm, in both in both prokaryotic and eukaryotics, where the metabolic reactions occur. Though the main point is that cytoplasm, the space where the metabolic reactions are occur. Ribosome. Ribosome is a non-membrane bounded organelle found in all cells, both prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Site of protein synthesis. It is a site of protein synthesis. So the ribosome is one of the basic and very important question which come regularly in the NEET is that non-membrane. It is not membrane bound organelle found in all cells, both prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Sites of protein synthesis. Centrosome. Non-membrane bounded organelle found only in animal cells. Helps in cell division. So the one of the basic and unique NEET MCQs is whenever we see centrosome, the only main important is that animal cells helps in division. So centrosome only present in the animal cells. It is a non-membrane bonded organelle which helps in division, cell division. Okay. So for the high points, so read this all high points. I will definitely provide you the PDF. Yeah. So this is the prediction type of questions. Eukaryotic versus prokaryotic basic recall questions are very easy. Small and big, small and large cell facts are also easy. The moderate form of prediction of question type is that centrosome plant versus animal distinction. Okay, it is very moderate and some cells are okay. From next topic we'll start prokaryotic cells general position shape. So subscribe and follow for more content like this, very useful for you. Bye.